Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for our annual State of the University Address. My name is Danielle Corbett and I'm the Student Body President here at UVU. It's my pleasure to introduce our fearless leader, President Astrid S. Tuminez, who will be sharing some of our successes from the past year and the path for our future. During her address, you can leave comments or questions in the chat section, and we'll do our best to get to them during our Q&A at the end. If your question isn't answered today, feel free to email your thoughts to president@uvu.edu. Now, let's take a quick look at some of last year's best moments before we hear from President Tuminez.
A special thank you to Danielle Corbett, our fearless UVU Student Association President. Thank you for that introduction, Danielle, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to the 2021 State of the University Address. I want to add a big thank you to all of you who are here today. A big thank you to the students, staff, and faculty who make UVU such a wonderful community. Thank you especially to my colleagues who have made this event today possible. And thank you to our friends and supporters, including members of our Board of Trustees and members of our advisory boards who have tuned in today. We are thankful for your interest and support for this university. As you know, UVU's mission as a combined teaching university and community college is to educate every type of student from every type of background to succeed in work and life. I believe this is such a worthy and inspiring mandate. So as we think about the students that UVU serves today, it's important to remember some statistics. 81% of our students work while they go to school. 19% of our students are people of color. 37% of our students are first generation or first in their families to seek a college degree. We also have many students who are 25 years and older. We are a very diverse community, and 43% of our students receive Pell Grants, which means that they belong to the lower socioeconomic brackets and really need an education in order to lift themselves up. Let's take a few minutes to meet some of the wonderful students here at UVU.
My name is Melanie Griffin. I am a senior here at UVU, and I am a full-time student and a full-time employee. And I love UVU because of the amazing faculty who have a great desire to empower students. I have seen so many professors who have taken their time to watch and help me succeed in my education.
I'm Artie Diaz. I'm a senior in communication studies finishing up my degree at UVU, which I'm super proud of actually. What I really appreciate about UVU is that they're very gracious with their resources, that even students who don't go to UVU are welcome to participate in events for our queer students or for students of color. And so just seeing that really made me want to come to a university that really prioritizes and invests in underrepresented groups.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I am a junior here at UVU. I love UVU because I think it can be really scary to start college, but I feel like UVU has really helped me to gain the knowledge, the skills, and the resources that I need to become a successful individual. Hello, my name is Valentina Hain. I am a senior here at UVU. I chose UVU because I knew it was a place where I would have success and be able to achieve my goals while being a full-time student and having a part-time job to support myself. A main contributor to my success has been my professors. They have all been so amazing. They have really taken the time to get to know me and invest in my goals and making sure I achieve them.
I'm Reuben Holdaway. I'm 25 years old and I'm a senior here at UVU. I'm a proud Wolverine because UVU's given me the opportunity to reprioritize education and redefine my future. I'll have the chance to move to Washington, D.C. post-graduation to work in management consulting.
My name is Katya. So I'm originally from Quebec, Canada, and then I decided to go back to school after having been a midwife for 12 years. And I think UVU made that really easy with their open enrollment policy, and so it allowed me to come back as a non-traditional student. I think what really made me love UVU is the opportunities for engaged learning.
Hi, I'm Jaden Burnett. I'm a senior here at UVU. I am a full-time student and I work part-time. And it has been really hard to juggle school and work, especially when you have to pay for tuition and books and everything. But the faculty have been really involved and willing to help me follow what I want to do in life and figure out what would fit me the best.
Hello, I'm Chase. I am a junior here at UVU. And the thing that brought me to UVU was actually because it was close and affordable. But what made me fall in love with UVU is it's a place where I can be true and authentic to myself. I don't feel the need to hide behind a closet door or to live up to someone else's stereotypes of what I should be. Here I can just be me.
There is truly nothing better about my job as university president than meeting our students and getting to know their stories. I believe that a pillar of our success here at UVU is really our core values of exceptional care, exceptional accountability, and exceptional results. We are committed to caring deeply for one another and seeing one another for who we are. We are also committed to being accountable, to challenging one another directly and accounting for our time, our energy, and our resources, and making sure that what we do every day aligns with the mission of this university. Together, we can achieve exceptional results, and these values are a guide for us as we come to this great organization to do what we do every single day. Now, the state of the university wouldn't be right without an update on how we have managed through the COVID-19 pandemic. If you look today at headlines in higher education, it can be quite discouraging. The Chronicle of Higher Education estimates that since the pandemic started in March, 337,000 jobs have been lost in higher education. The Pew Charitable Trust estimates that we've had as much as a 14% drop in employment in higher education, and 5 states in the USA have experienced a 20% dip in workers in higher education. This includes our neighbors Colorado and Wyoming. Fortunately for us, this is not the story of UVU. We live in a state where we can be thankful every day that we have leadership, political leaders, who appreciate and support higher education. We also are in a community where families and individuals truly value education and what it can do for people's lives. And on top of that, we have our gritty Wolverine students who persevere despite the ups and downs of their lives and the ups and downs of things like a pandemic. So the summer after COVID began, UVU actually had its largest enrollment cohort ever of any summer in its history. And this fall, our enrollment has held strong. We have had a 1% increase in the enrollment of Utah residents and a 1.9% decrease in the enrollment of foreign and out-of-state students, which is understandable because the pandemic has made it more important for students to stay closer to where they live. So we are very happy that this enrollment continues to work and that people continue to believe in pursuing their education. Of course, the pandemic has also given us new things to do that have been very important as we have strived to deliver quality education while keeping everybody safe. Physical safety has been of utmost importance. whether that involves giving out masks to students, staff, and faculty, or cleaning our classrooms, or improving the ventilation on our buildings, or updating fountains and toilets so that they can become touch-free. And the support also means mental health support. Our students have asked for more mental health support during this pandemic, and we have delivered that. And of course, financial support. Before we have had to move over 4,000 sections online, UVU already had a CARE initiative, which included our food bank and small grants that we give to students so that when they have a crisis, if it's a $300 need or a $500 need, we can help them meet that so that they could stay in school. In addition to our own initiative, of course, we're very grateful for the CARES funding from the federal government, which has allowed us to give out almost $8 million to many students who've lost their jobs and have needed additional support. Our students will continue to benefit from the new round of funding that we will be getting from the federal government. We have also kept our library and computer labs open so that students can use these resources to continue their education. We have delivered Wi-Fi hotspots that students could borrow because we learned that one of the biggest obstacles was students actually didn't have enough connectivity or broadband. And this past fall semester, we have given a 25% fee waiver to our students. Every little bit helps. It is not enough to support students. We also have to support our faculty and staff. And I'm very grateful to our digital transformation team, which helped us to modernize our classrooms. About 300 classrooms were updated so that live streaming could take place during this pandemic. And we also thank our faculty who have stepped up to what really has been additional work. They have gone for training so that today, 40% of all our faculty, full-time, tenure track, and adjunct, are certified to teach online. I would like to acknowledge our Office of Teaching and Learning for helping us with this work. And of course, our students have named specific faculty and staff who've helped them succeed. We conducted 2 surveys, and over 1,800 faculty and staff were named. And so we delivered a note of appreciation and a small gift certificate to all of these individuals. It's not really, I think, the note or the little gift certificate that matters the most. It is the reminder that during tough times, and as we increase the use of technology, the human touch is ever more important. And it goes back to that first foundational value at UVU, which is exceptional care. I want to spend a few minutes now to share with you some of our successes that we could celebrate and savor together. As you know, many commencement ceremonies were totally canceled or postponed because of the pandemic. And although we postponed our commencement, we decided in August of 2020 to hold convocations on several parking lots on campus. This was the first time in our history that we held this kind of commencement. It was actually amazing for me as I joined in this convocation for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences to see the families come in and to see cars festooned with balloons and other decorations, and to see families and friends, crying from joy because of this celebration. We graduated the largest cohort of students in our history, 6,410 students, and the inimitable and extremely inspiring Gail Miller was our speaker. We had a rock band, the National Parks, and we had fireworks. It was an incredibly celebratory moment that honored our students for their hard work, their sacrifices and grit, and honored our faculty for their accomplishment with these students. It is amazing that of the 6,410 graduates, 2,893 were first generation. So this means that as we think about addressing intergenerational poverty, this number is positively staggering and amazing. So we are so proud of our students and what they have accomplished. Looking forward to our next commencement, this will be on May 7, 2021. I am delighted to announce that our commencement speaker will be Dr. Wendy Watson-Nelson. Dr. Nelson is a nurse and a psychologist who has a PhD in family therapy and gerontology. And I was actually chuckling last night at this word gerontology, because as I am aging, I think this is a great word and a great person to have for commencement here at UVU. Dr. Nelson has taught for 25 years at the University of Calgary and Brigham Young University, and I'm confident that she will inspire and inform our students with words of wisdom that stem from her years of academic training, research and teaching, and great service to so many people. So I am delighted to share this piece of news with you. We are also proud to celebrate this ranking that came out in August 2020. Business Insider ranked UVU number 3 in the nation for return on investment on education, measured by a ratio of earnings to the average cost of education. When we think about the cost of education, we need to think about the opposite. Some people may say education is expensive, but the opposite of not getting an education could be even more costly. And we need to remember the returns that come from the cost we pay for higher education. I also want to congratulate our digital media faculty and students, because this program was ranked number 1 in the country by College Magazine. And of course, some terrific news from our College of Engineering and Technology. Many of you may remember that in 2018, we launched 3 new engineering programs: civil, mechanical, and electrical. And this year, our first cohort of mechanical engineering students won first place in the annual competition of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. They built a drone that could deliver a set payload to a specified destination, and they used 3D printed materials, 2 cameras, special joints to make this thing work. And this thing is so good, I'm not an engineer, but I was just reading about this, that the way that they built this also minimized damage and repair should the drone crash. I'm so proud of the students, the faculty who trained them, and Dean Saeed Moveni of our College of Engineering and Technology, so kudos to them. I also want to celebrate our faculty who've had amazing accomplishments this year in creative work and scholarship. This includes Professor Eddie Kade, who got a grant from the National Science Foundation to help with the rejuvenation of Utah Lake. As you know, Utah has incredible physical assets, mountains and lakes and canyons. And actually for me, this is one of the most enjoyable things about living in Utah. So Professor Eddie Kade and his team, that includes students, will be able to help us preserve all of these natural bounties in the state. I also want to congratulate Professor Bob Pillay, chair of our math department, who now has 11 patents to his name. And the latest patent has to do with CNV's copy number variations in DNA, and the potential application of this is in the early diagnosis of genetics-based diseases such as Down syndrome or cancer or muscular dystrophy. So congratulations to Professor Pillay. And Professor Brian Durney got a patent. Again, I'm sorry I'm not an expert, but as I understand it, it applies the theory of computer operating systems to electric and autonomous vehicles so that there can be a standardized or really good interface between a driver and cloud-based operating systems, and then the internals of the vehicle itself, whether that's the steering wheel or the brakes or anything else that is inside that machinery. So congratulations to our faculty. You are an inspiration to all of us. Kudos also to Dr. Jane Carlson and her team at the Melissa Nellison Center for Autism. They received nearly $2 million in a grant this year from the Department of Education to expand their work and programming to support students and families with intellectual disability. Sometimes I think of this as there are just differently abled people. And what I love about this grant is this was a collaboration with Utah State University. They already have a program called Aggies Elevated, and together with them we are launching Wolverines Elevated. And as this program succeeds, we will be able to do more of this type of work across the state. I want to pause here on athletics because many of you know that I am a big fan of athletics. It actually came as a surprise to me how much I would enjoy athletics. But there is just terrific student athletic and academic success. The picture you see here on the left of the former captain of our women's soccer team, Hannah Bruce, is amazing. She's an amazing person. She not only won the Stan Bates Award, she and Alec Felix in the men's team, they won the Stan Bates Award, which is given to the most outstanding male and female student athletes in the WAC, or the Western Athletic Conference. Hannah has played for a professional team briefly, and she's now at the University of Oxford in England, working on her master's degree in clinical neuroscience. Last year, we had 2 All-Americans, Larry Still, and by the way, I apologize if I forget some names or get them wrong. Larry Still, a pole vaulter, and Tate Orndorff, who's a wrestler. And our wrestling team this year is doing very well with 2 individuals, Taylor Lamont and Demetrius Romero, ranked in the top 10. Our volleyball team got an award for their civic participation in elections. And our men's cross-country team won a championship 2 years in a row in the WAC. In fact, they're the only team at this university that have given me, I think, 3 rings already, these very heavy rings that you get for any championship that your university wins. And Kevin Lynch won the championship as an individual 2 years in a row. We also won the Commissioner's Cup for the first time in the WAC. But I want to pause for a second because I think athletics is not just about competing, it's about academic success. And so this graduation rate of 80% for our student athletes is truly outstanding. This means that you have to deliver 40 hours of training a week and probably 40 hours also on your academics. And our average GPA of 3.41 is way higher than the average NCAA Division I GPA of 3.15. And 48% of our student athletes last year had a straight 4.0. These students inspire me to do my best because they know how to get hard things done. And I'd like to encourage all of you listening today to please show up after COVID is over, when we can gather again for athletic events, to support our students and to get inspired as they're out there on the mat or on the court doing their very best. There's also wonderful things happening with UVU facilities and our capital assets, and you may have seen some of this in the news. We'll now roll a video where UVUSA President Danielle Corbett will talk about amazing things happening with UVU's physical plant.
Hi, my name is Danielle Corbett, and I am the current student body president, here with a facilities update. The highly anticipated pedestrian bridge is now open during the day from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. and will be open full-time on February 1st, 2021. Thanks to our partners UDOT, Orem City, and UTA, the pedestrian bridge will provide access between the Intermodal Center in Orem and the UVU campus. Woodbury business students are getting a new home in 2022, the Scott C. Keller Building. Thank you to Scott and Karen Keller and Noel and Carrie Vallejo for their generous contributions to this namesake project. The new Sorensen Center will transform this section of campus into a student-centric hub, where everyone can eat and hang out together, stock up on UVU swag and books, grab a cup of coffee or hot chocolate, and escape schoolwork for a short time. Earlier this year, UVU acquired the Thanksgiving Point building and almost 40 acres of land for a new satellite campus in Payson. This long-awaited expansion will broaden horizons for UVU students and our community in the Silicon Slopes area and beyond. Looking to the future, we cannot imagine a more fitting home for the UVU Museum of Art than the estate of Melanie Bastian. Generously gifted to Utah Valley University by the Bastian family, known locally as Lake Mount Manor, the space will continue to provide a valuable community resource with unique and innovative programs and exhibitions.
I'd like to thank our legislators, our donors, and other partners who have made all of these physical improvements at UVU possible. You may sometimes hear that universities don't need to build any more buildings, and that isn't true. UVU is only 13 years old as a university, and we have had very high growth. We have not had 100 years to build buildings. And so I hope that you will join with me in continuing to see the vision that as we improve our facilities, we also improve the student experience and expand our capacity to deliver education to as many people as possible. I want to take a pause here and thank our donors who have been amazing. Last year, we had a record fundraising year where we raised a total of $41 million. I frankly think this is a miracle. Our Women's Success Center luncheon, for example, raised $600,000 over lunch. That just doesn't happen without the open hearts, the commitment to share energy, money, and other resources with students, so those who have more resources are able to serve others who have less and empower them to make something more of themselves. So as I think about our donors and partners and their collaboration with us, my heart just fills with love and gratitude. Thank you to all of you for sharing the vision of UVU and supporting us. We also had an amazing Presidential Scholarship Ball this past year. As you know, during a time of pandemic, this is something very difficult to do. And I want to thank my colleagues in the Institutional Advancement and Events team for their creativity and imagination in reframing what has been a 30-year scholarship ball. We did it in the parking lot with a 1950s team. I want to thank the amazing Jaden Burnett for being our MC and everyone who supported this event. We were able to raise $500,000 just in one evening that would go directly to student scholarships. This is a 30-year-old event. We called it Miracles in the Making. Thank you to Bill Anderson, who originated this many years ago. This is an event that keeps on giving, and our students were amazing in all of their performances at the ball. I want to transition now and talk about the vision for the future. And I think it's really important to ask ourselves, what is the role of a university? Why do we exist? We exist, yes, to educate students, but it is really about creating opportunity so that as many people as possible can be empowered to live what I call productive and dignified lives. We can talk about lofty principles like freedom and social justice, but those are meaningless unless people have the training, the ability to think, the ability to communicate, and the ability to participate in the society in which they live. UVU already has a very solid track record in this area. The Department of Workforce Services of Utah has something they call 4- and 5-star jobs, jobs that are in high demand and also pay pretty well. And I have to say that as you look at the bar graphs on the slide, the bar that represents UVU, it shows that UVU has graduated the most number of people for 4- and 5-star jobs than any other institution in the Utah system of higher education. So this includes majors like mechatronics, which is only 2 years, but it allows students to get a very good job in companies like Micron, where the starting salary is $70,000. We have grown as a university since we became a full-fledged university in 2008, but we have not forgotten our community college mission and have stayed true to that. And a critical indicator of this community college mission is what we do in career and technical education. Again, thank you to our community outreach and economic development team that oversees this part of the university. And thank you to partners like President Clay Christensen and institutions like MTech, the Technical College, and other technical colleges throughout the state. We continue to raise grants for career and technical education and produce graduates with certificates and associate degrees that qualify them for work immediately upon completion of what they came here to UVU to do. Recently, we also partnered with the governor's office using federal resources to work on a program called Learn and Work in Utah. The COVID-19 pandemic has hurt many people in very, very tough ways, particularly economically. Many have lost jobs. And so this program is to reskill and upskill people. When we saw the number of applicants, over 2,400, this is where I actually realized how hungry people were, that they want to help themselves. We were able to raise $1.5 million in funding to support tuition-free reskilling and upskilling for 719 individuals. And this is the kind of program that we hope to expand and continue doing. We are thankful for all of those who have supported this, including our faculty who have offered programs both for academic and non-academic credit. I am also really proud to say that UVU does what it does very efficiently. Again, looking at the Utah system of higher education, the tax funding that we receive here per full-time student equivalent is the lowest in the system. I am fully aware as president of the challenge of growth. You cannot simply grow and grow without support for that growth because you will not succeed. So I'm grateful to our legislators and other supporters who understand growth funding so that we could support students and faculty as our enrollment grows. Before I came to UVU, my predecessor, President Matt Holland, whom I thank and honor, led a study or commissioned a study that showed that for every dollar invested in Utah Valley University, the state gains about $8. We are the largest employer in Orem. We are the third largest employer in Utah County and either the 13th or 14th largest employer in the state of Utah. And I always like to emphasize that our students are very committed to this state. 85% are still here 1 year after graduation, and 76% are here 10 years out. So they continue to build their families and contribute to the economy and prosperity of the state. In terms of our programming as a university, one of the areas that we are focused on is really first-generation students. 37% of our students are first-gen, and 25% of our freshman cohort is first-gen. We already had many activities, including mentoring, tutoring, scholarships, and leadership opportunities, but now we are institutionalizing this effort and have created a new first-generation Student Success Center. You may have heard that we have a campaign for $15 million to support first-generation programming. We have made tremendous progress in raising that money, but if anybody would like to help us more, please let us know. This is something that I believe has really critical implications for the future of the state as our demographics and economics change. We also have truly innovative professors and staff who have come up with amazing programs. This one is led by the Woodbury School of Business in partnership with our Community Outreach and Economic Development team, the Resort Management Program, which is partnered with Stein Eriksen Lodge, Waldorf Astoria, and the Montage, my favorite places in Park City. And essentially, this allows students during the peak season to work at these resorts, and during the off-season, take their classes at our Wasatch campus. After 5 semesters, students will have worked 2,000 to 2,500 hours, and when they complete their degrees, they will be work ready, and not just work ready, but ready to step into supervisory and managerial positions. Our School of Education also has something very exciting going with Breeze Airways, which I believe is either the 3rd or 4th airline that serial entrepreneur David Neeleman has started. So whether you're going to be a pilot or a flight attendant and you want to work for Breeze Airways, you need to register to become an online student at Utah Valley University. The company will contribute $6,000 to every student who gets accepted to defray the cost of tuition, and will also provide community housing for the student. It is a tough time right now for the airline industry, but it certainly will recover as we return slowly but surely to normalcy. Our biggest dream in the next couple of years will be our College of Engineering and Technology building. I mentioned earlier that in 2018, we launched 3 new engineering degrees, electrical, civil, and mechanical, in addition to computer science and software engineering. We have had great growth in this college, 28% growth in enrollment, and about 29% growth in the graduates for computer science and engineering. This building is so important because we need the space, we need proper laboratories, we need proper collaboration spaces where projects could happen and hands-on learning could happen. And this is not a dream that is kind of irrelevant to the state. It's so critical to the state because we know today that there are about 880 openings for engineers and technicians in the state of Utah. And this number, looking forward, according to the Chem Gardner Institute, will increase to over 4,600 job openings. So when you take all of the higher education institutions in the state, we actually cannot produce enough engineers. And when I hear about companies like Qualtrics going to Seattle, it makes me feel that we have lost an opportunity. And so this building is extremely important. And I hope that the story will be understood by many who will see this vision and will work with us to make this vision a reality. As we are talking about dreams, I'd like to talk about the American dream. Professor Raj Chetty, a public economics professor at Harvard University, did a famous study about the American dream. He's a brilliant professor who got tenure at the age of 28, which probably made history. And he posed this question: what is the chance that a child born into the bottom fifth of the income distribution reaches the top fifth? So from the poorest fifth to the highest fifth. And he looked at data across the board. And the wonderful thing that I saw from this study is that Salt Lake City in Utah is actually one of the best performing places in terms of reaching the American dream. That is good for the state of Utah. And the factors that were underlined for this kind of success are: first, education; second, community development; third, strong social capital. That means that people work with one another, know each other as neighbors, and so on; and fourth, a disciplined government or disciplined public sector. So I think we should bear this in mind when we think about the future and the role that a university like UVU can play. The reverse, of course, is also very true, that when you don't have higher education, you are more likely to suffer from unemployment, and we've seen that especially during COVID. You are more likely to be less physically healthy, less mentally healthy, have a less strong family. And so we need to remember these numbers. Again, these are numbers from the state of Utah. The university, in my view, is critical infrastructure. Much like we have our electricity and our water, we need to continue to have an education as we look toward building and sustaining a prosperous and more equitable society in Utah. Recently, to honor and commemorate Martin Luther King, we invited a speaker to speak to us, Anthony Ray Hinton. He has quite a compelling story. Ray Hinton was arrested in his 20s and put on death row for 3 murders that he didn't commit. And it was 30 years later that he was exonerated through the work of the Equal Justice Initiative led by the amazing lawyer Brian Stevenson. One of the things that struck me during his talk to our community was the statistic that of the 200 death row inmates he was with, there were only 5 with a high school education. And he was one of them. And again, it underpins for me the importance of higher education as we think about social justice. These are not just words. Our high ideals will not amount to much unless we can give more people more opportunity to strengthen themselves, to become better, to have the competence and skills to navigate all the many challenges that life could throw at them. I have a very strong conviction that UVU is a path to the American dream, whether we are talking about Salt Lake City or Provo-Orem or Payson or Kanab or any place in the state and outside of the state as people come here to get an education and go on with their lives. We can take any classroom today of first graders or 8th graders or high school students and pose to ourselves the question, how many of these students with the potential to become something will actually become something? And the answer to that question very much depends on access to affordable, accessible, and flexible education, which is the goal of this university. We are truly creating an institution and a space where everyone can belong, where everyone can feel that whatever they're ready for, they could do it here and build on it from year to year to year and come out a much better and more confident individual when they are done with their experience at UVU. The great leader Nelson Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change society. I fully agree with him. But education isn't free. It comes with a cost and investment paid by individuals, families, taxpayers, and our community. Sometimes it can get hard, but I believe that this cost and this investment are so worth it. When we make this investment and we step up, together we can build a brighter future for more people. We build something that will outlast each of us. And I cannot think of anything more inspiring than that. Thank you very much. We will now have time for Q&A, and I'd like to ask my colleague, Emmy Bell, to read some of the questions that some of you would have submitted through the chat. I'm also going to get some water if possible. That's great. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me? Okay.
Go ahead, Emmy.
Our first question comes from one of our staff members in the chat. Gail wants to know, how has UVU adapted to the increasingly digital environment of higher education?
I think we have adjusted pretty well, but we have a long way to go. What do I mean by that? If you look at other sectors, banking or, retail, Amazon, you know that digital transformation has completely changed what they do, how they do it, how they reach out to the people they serve. And in higher education, we have that same challenge. How do we really leverage technology as a tool to deliver effective and delightful experiences, beginning with teaching or enrollment or reaching out to alumni and so on. One of the things that we have done is hire a vice president for digital transformation here at UVU. This is Dr. Kelly Flanagan, who comes to us with great experience both as a scholar and administrator, and he's an electrical engineer by profession. So what we have done today, I mentioned earlier that our professors have been certified to teach online. We're going to continue that. We're going to continue post-COVID the broadening of our offerings online as well as face-to-face, because we want to personalize education so that it is effective. Some students do better face-to-face and other students do better online or hybrid. And what we have observed in enrollment at UVU even last year is that the largest cohort, the fastest growing cohort of enrollment are hybrid students who work and go to school at the same time. So to help them along, it is important to allow them to take some of their courses face-to-face and some of them online as well. And this is not passive, teaching online. This is actually difficult to do because we need to make the material compelling. We need to strengthen interaction between the peers, among the peers of students, between the professor and the students who are taking the course. And we need to improve everything that we do, from our human resource processes to reaching out to alumni. So I would say that we are on our way. We are not there yet, but we are very focused, and we have great leadership now in this team of digital transformation. We hope to have things like a mobile app and an improved website, and all of these are so important. We will see that these things will improve our lives. And what is necessary for all of us in the UVU community is to understand that this is hard, to embrace the fact that this is going to be hard, to have real conversations with one another on things like data and how we use data, and who has access to data, how we govern data, so that we can do what we do in more efficient and effective ways.
Okay, next question comes from a couple of students. When do we expect campus construction to be finished and open for use, including the Sorensen Center, the Scott C. Keller Building, new institutional advancement, and the UVU Museum?
Okay, so that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of buildings and facilities. As Danielle Corbett mentioned earlier, the bridge is already open. I think it's open until 8 p.m. now. You can use it if you're living on the other side of I-15, but it will be fully open 24 hours a day, I believe, starting in February 4, something like that. The Institutional Advancement Building, we are not there yet. That may be 2 years away. The Sorensen Center should be sooner rather than later, so I'm hoping next fall. I'm not entirely sure. The Scott C. Keller Business Building is about a year from now, and that will open alongside the Gateway Building, the new administrative offices, and where students who come in who want to take a tour of UVU, that is where they'll start the tour. Our building at Thanksgiving Point is already open. And so it's just, we are programming there now, and that will increase in the next few months with our community outreach and economic development team. And then I think one other facility mentioned was the museum. I think that will be either a year to 18 months away. The UVU Art Museum at Lake Mount Manor, which will be a world-class house museum. My favorite museums in the world are house museums. And they do add something to the character of a university, to the experience of students, and will become a destination for Utahns and visitors to Utah. So there may be other things. We have land in Payson, but at this point in time, we are still looking for resources as well as defining the strategy for what we do there.
Okay, another question from a staff member. Catherine would like to know, do we have a plan for a master's level degree in engineering?
I believe we do, but I do not want to say anything right now that would be inaccurate. So I think you'll have to stay tuned. We're going to have to ask Dean Mulvaney at the College of Engineering and Technology.
Perfect. Okay.
We have, and this is not necessarily engineering, but I think it's in the college. We offer now a master's in cybersecurity. So computer science, software engineering is somewhat linked to that, because cybersecurity today is a massively growing area as we face so many threats. It doesn't matter what kind of organization you are, you're going to be hacked. It doesn't matter what kind of individual you are, you're going to be hacked. And so cybersecurity is a really critical area.
Okay, great. Mark Walton is a community member and one of our advisory board members. He would like to know if there's anything new or notable happening in the animation and gaming department.
In animation and gaming, I think I have to apologize. I don't have any specifics, but in my first year here, I do remember visiting our students and our professors who showed me some of the amazing things they were doing with kind of augmented reality to be used for training and education. And animation, of course, is a great industry. And I would have to defer to our professors probably to give me some more detail. But I just want to go back to that big dream of the College of Engineering and Technology. We need those labs eventually in order to expand more programs in this space, because I know there is amazing and exciting employment out there for those who are really good in animation.
Great. Another question from the chat. Rand, can we expect more growth in the support for LGBTQ plus students? And what are we currently doing to support those students?
Yes, one of the reasons that I came to UVU was the diversity at this university. And I remember looking at the website before I even became president and seeing that diversity here is very broadly defined, from ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, mental health, rural versus urban, and so on. So we have a director for LGBTQ support who is amazing. And what we would like to do is for all of our students who are LGBTQ to come here and to know that they are accepted and to blossom here. And we also continue to train our own community to be more accepting and understanding. We have record enrollment today in what we call our foundations of inclusion. And although that goes above and beyond LGBTQ, those are the types of training and education and conversations that we need to have so that we can have more truly exceptional care. And I hope that our LGBTQ community, whether they are staff, faculty, or students today, feel that they are supported. I am always open to listening and understanding the needs that are not being met, and to doing our very best to meet those needs with the resources that we have.
Okay, a question from the chat from George. How soon will we get audiences at the Norda Center?
Today we actually have audiences already in the Norda Center, but it is limited. Our students have performed our symphony, our chamber choir. We had the 5 Browns and 5 Steinways perform in December. And so it is very limited at this point in time, but you can get tickets. And I would urge our faculty, our students, and our community to look at the website so that you can go to the Norda. It remains as beautiful as ever, with the best acoustics ever, and our students are performing. We are not bringing in so many outside performers because of the pandemic, but it's wonderful for our students to have an audience and have the support. And it's also really very uplifting for those of us. You know, we're all working long hours, and for me, it is actually a time just to be reminded of beauty and serenity and creativity. So yes, there are student audiences and other audiences limited with social distancing and masks. So please find out and sign up for the events that are going on at the Norda Center.
Okay, great. A question from a faculty member, Dr. Jessica Pauley, wants to know if you can tell us a little bit more about the timeline for the COVID vaccine for faculty and staff at UVU.
Yes, thank you for that question, Professor Jessica. It's a question that we have been hearing a lot, because certainly all of us want to get vaccinated, and when we're vaccinated, we can feel more confident about teaching in person and meeting in person. So currently, the timeline for this vaccine it depends on the Department of Health, and we are tracking this almost on a daily and weekly basis. The state has prioritized K-12 education because, as most of us know, K-12 has been asked to really have as much face-to-face as possible because the younger kids need that. So vaccination for those teachers has been prioritized, as well as vaccination for elderly citizens. We are definitely in the queue, and again, I would ask for patience as we try to find out when exactly we'll be able to have the vaccination, and hopefully we can just do it here on campus in partnership with the Department of Health. But please be reassured that our attention is focused on this. And I am also hopeful, as the new Biden administration has announced this impetus to vaccinate 100 million people in 100 days. Obviously, there are so many moving parts to this, but please know that the entire Council of Presidents in the Utah System of Higher Education, we are focused on this and constantly asking, and we will announce as soon as we have more definite information on the timeline.
All right. This will be our last question today. Amanda, our International Advisory Board member, one of them, she would like to know how our faculty and staff are handling the stress put on them by increased responsibilities during this time.
Yes, so let's think about that word stress for a second. I think everybody who's tuned in today understands and has experienced that, especially during the pandemic, because the pandemic has not only affected health, but then we've had political turbulence, and we've had earthquakes and fires and lower budgets and so on. And so definitely the stress has been very real. And if I were to maybe use a word, I would use the word resilience. That's been what I've seen here at UVU among faculty and students. And we've been very lucky in that we've had, very few layoffs. I think really single digits or I don't know, 12. Very few layoffs, very few furloughs. And after the pandemic hit, we continued paying all of our staff, whether or not they could work from home or at the university. And I think that's about another month and a half or 2 months that we did that to allow people time to figure out what they need to do and what is next for them. Remote work has also been very helpful because many workers here, myself included, I sometimes take care of my 87-year-old mother. We have other responsibilities, and then our kids not being able to go to school. So remote work, where we've had that flexibility to get our work done, get it done well, without having to show up on campus every day. So resilience has been a great principle, and I think alongside exceptional care and really honest, direct conversations. I think we might remember here that there were many talks with Tuminez, the broadcast that I've been doing on a regular basis with staff and faculty, where we have invited other members of cabinet to discuss HR policies or CARES Act funding or what we were doing to clean our facilities. The information helps, the mutual appreciation, and the exceptional care. So we need to hang in there for a few more months. I know that it's been long and we are tired, but I also hope that everybody feels energized and rejuvenated, because what we do every single day is meaningful and powerful. And I love this community. I think that stress is a healthy part of life. In fact, we need stress, a little bit of it, not too much. But we not only survive, but we thrive when we do this together and are clear about why we are here and appreciate our resources and are grateful for that. And then we use it to do things that really matter, because we can celebrate that, and we will find ourselves in a zone where we are energized and feel happy as much as happiness is possible. So thank you for the question. I know that that's the last question for today, and we have been here for almost an hour. I just want to end again by thanking all of my colleagues who made this State of the University possible. I always prefer a live audience, but we do our best with the resources at hand and the constraints at hand. Thank you for believing in us, for believing in UVU. Thank you for the support you give, which matters to every student, every staff member, and faculty member on this campus. If I had my green pom-poms today, I'd raise them in the air and say, "Go Wolverines!" Thank you so much.